Alright guys, today I'm going to be doing a small, fast little tutorial on manual settings for your Canon T2I. Some of you out there may not know how to do it. Most of you, I figure, already know about your manual settings and how to set that up. But I thought I'd run through the settings real quick as far as video is concerned. So if you want to put your Canon, your T2I in the manual setting mode to where it's not automatically shooting, because automatic settings really don't work that well in this camera. It's a manual thing 100% really, in my opinion. To do it, you're going to go on and hit menu, and you're going to want to scroll over to the second red square. It has a little like movie picture thing, if you guys notice. It's the second one right there, and you're just going to click I've already got it manual. You're just going to click, you probably might already have it in auto. You just go on and click manual, and then you go on and hit menu again. And now what this allows you to do is go in and control your ISO, your shutter speed, your aperture. Now real fast about ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. If you're shooting, let's say you're doing a shoot and you have too much light, it's like stuff is overexposed, you could drop your ISO or up your aperture. The higher your ISO is, the more pixelated your quality of your film is going to be, but the more light it will allow in. The lower your aperture and shutter speed is, the lower light you can work with. So you want to make sure that your shutter speed and aperture are at the lowest lights possible before you start bumping up your ISO. So to control the aperture and ISO, there's a button right at the top, and we'll scroll up here so you guys can see here. If you notice my fingers right here, there is a button that says ISO right here, and if you click that, if you notice down at the bottom, and you're able to hit the dial, and you can change it. So by just scrolling your dial, as you can see, I brought my ISO up to 6400, and now it's showing the black backdrop that I have. But if I drop it down to 800, hit the ISO button again, drop it down to 800, of course it's not really there anymore. So that is how you do your ISO. Now your aperture is just using your shutter speed is just using your dial. If you notice the bottom left, and I wish this wasn't so daggone pixelated, but we will scroll down there and let it focus real quick. Well, if it's going to focus, come out a little bit. But if you notice, that says 60, and let me just turn off one of my light here so you can see a little bit better. If I can. Now you can see where that says 60. Now you just want to use your dial, and that will do your shutter speed. So if you need the higher the shutter speed, the less light. So if you've got something that's really high in contrast, you can up your shutter speed. Now the lower it is, the more light it's going to allow in, the better quality your picture is going to be. Scroll back over here, bump it out a little bit. All right. So next is going to be your aperture. Now to control your aperture with this camera, you're going to hold down your AV and then spin the dial. And if you notice, your aperture is right here, and so you want to keep your aperture at the lowest that it possibly is. Now aperture has to do with your lens, so different lenses are going to allow different apertures. If you have like a 70 to 200 2.8, you can drop it all the way down to 2.8 and it will stay at 2.8 as you zoom in and out. If you have, what I've got is a 10 to 22 on my, I got a 10 to 22, and it is a 3.5 to 5.6. So what that means is that the lowest aperture is going to be 3.5, and then it will all go all the way up to 22, f22. So far as lighting is concerned, the lowest I can drop it down to is 3.5, and that's with the lens all the way zoomed all the way out at 10 millimeters. Or for this, since it's a crop frame sensor, the 10 to 22 is actually a 16 to 35. If it was on a full frame, it would be a true 10 to 22. So we'll go over these again. Your ISO, you just push your button. There's a button right up here, right in front of your dial. It's called ISO. You're going to hit that once and then hit your wheel, and this will allow you to change your ISO down here. Next would be just using your wheel, and that allows you to do your shutter speed down here, and then if you hold the AV down while flipping the wheel, this allows you to control your aperture. Now there are a few other settings that you can do. If you click this button right here, this will allow you to go through these different settings. The first one is your white balance. Now depending on what type of shot you're doing, like I've got mine set to tungsten at the moment because we used tungsten when we went to Nashville this last weekend, shot a band called Whitechapel. I got it set to tungsten. For this, I probably want to set it to white fluorescent due to the fact that I have fluorescent lighting coming in to use the video for the video shoot. So you have your different things, and you can also do custom white balances as well as just an auto white balance. Now these are the different types of shots: portrait, landscape, neutral, faithful, and monochrome. So there are different settings here that you can use, and you can also go in and mess with the colors right here if you want to go in and make some presets. So which is really nice. Next is the different type of lighting here: strong, low, disable. Next would be the quality. This is more for pictures than anything, so just kind of skip this. And then this would be the different types of shots that you'd be doing. Let's see if we can zoom in just a little bit. And let's turn this light off. Now you guys can probably see it a little bit better now. And let it focus. Sorry, my little Canon HD camera that I recently purchased is not as good as I wanted it to be, and it's quite difficult to get it to focus apparently. Next would be, and this right here has to do with frames per second. Now I've got it set to 24, but say I want to do something, I want to do it in slow mo, so I'm going to drop it up. I'm going to pop it up to 60 frames and then drop it down to 24 when I edit it, so that the slow motion is very smooth and nice. And then you have your autofocus live, and you have these different autofocuses, and these have to do with the type of shooting you're going to do. If you're going to be following something, if it's going to be still, these settings at the very bottom have to do with the type of shot that you're going to. I usually just leave mine in AF live, so we will drop it back to AF live. And then there are a few, in detail, more depth settings that you can do, but this is really your basic settings for your basic manual settings for your Canon T2I. So I hope this helps out, and I hope that someone out there that doesn't know what these were now has an idea of how this works. If you do want to shoot manual, all you have to do is go to menu, second red box to your right, click, and if you want to shoot auto, and you can set up your auto. You can also turn off your sound recording. Actually, a buddy of mine was freaking out because none of his memory cards seemed to work because they didn't record any sound due to the fact that he had this turned off for 2 weeks, and he just thought all of his cards were broken, which didn't make any sense to me. So and then you have a couple other, most of these settings right here all have to do with your settings right here. So again, my name is David. I'm with Media Unlocked. Check us out on Twitter at DavidDImages. My website is also DavidDImages.com. If you have any questions or ideas or videos that you'd like me to shoot or something you'd like to see, I do use Final Cut Pro. I shoot with the Canon T2I. And I also use Photoshop CS5 as far as photo editing. If you guys would like to see anything in specific, just leave me a comment. I'd be more than happy to do it as well. Check me out on Skype at DavidDImages, and I'll put all this information right there at the bottom for you guys, and then again at the end of this video. So especially Skype, I'm going to try to be on a very regular basis on Skype. So if you want to ask a question, just type in DavidDImages in Skype. Send me a little note, and I'd be more than happy to get back with you if I'm not around the computer as soon as I am, and answer any questions that you have. There's been a couple people that have Skyped me with this magic lantern hack that needed some help, and I've been able to Skype back and forth, and it's a lot easier to talk over Skype sometimes than it is to type comments back and forth at each other to fix a problem. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful day.